I would have to say that Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau could be the biggest puppet in global politics. He is well known as a liberal globalist. He is basically the poster boy of globalism for a lot of Western liberal countries. There's a number of news outlets that have been run since he has been elected, a number of articles that have jumped into Justin Trudeau's pro-globalist actions. He's been leading the charge on some of the dramatic carbon taxes that would actually target middle and lower class Canadian families. He's also recently passed a number of anti-free speech bills, including Bill C-16, that would force Canadians to accept gender-neutral pronouns. Essentially, there are, I believe it's about 40 pronouns that are to be officially recognized through the Canadian government, and this goes beyond just someone identifying themselves as a man or a woman. This goes into pronouns like Z and Zer, and there are a number of relatively unknown or previously unknown pronouns that people would easily forget. But basically in Canada, this has passed. If someone says, I don't go by a he or a she, you must call me Zer or Z. You have to adhere to that. And if you forget more than once, or it's considered malicious that you're refusing to use these pronouns, you can be jailed for that. That is now a hate crime. They are passing a similar Islamophobia law. These are all obviously moves that just appeal to the social justice movements that seem to be funded and pushed largely by these same globalists that Justin Trudeau loves to sell himself out to. And he was basically born into this position. His father was prime minister. Justin Trudeau is notorious for being, people from his own party will even admit, or people that are big supporters of him throughout the media admit that he's really not a very talented person. He's not highly intelligent. There's no real reason for him to be in this prime minister spot other than having the Trudeau name that was inherited from his father, who was prime minister some decades ago in Canada. He's basically been born into this position, and the fact that he has so many ties to these globalists through the Liberal Party, which has basically become a cult to his father, he is basically a puppet for this shadow government. He's completely sold himself out to the globalists a number of times. This is a recent video. It's an interesting video. There's a link in the description of this one if you want to watch the full hearing here. But Justin Trudeau was recently asked 21 times in a row about his meeting with the Aga Khan, and he refused to answer this question. 21 times he gave a non-answer on whether he met the ethics commissioner over his trip to the Aga Khan's private island. This is a rich billionaire. This does seem to be a real conflict of interest. This just points out some of the issues here, but the main complaint is about Trudeau and his vacation to this billionaire island. Is it ethical to accept a gift from a friend who has business dealings with the government? The Aga Khan, also noteworthy, is a spiritual leader of approximately 15 million Ismaili Muslims and a renowned philanthropist. He is a board member of the Aga Khan Foundation. He's not registered as a lobbyist. The foundation is registered to lobby the House of Commons, and according to records, received more than $47 million from the federal government in 2016. So for him to be taking private trips with the prime minister, that's a real conflict of interest there. It's also, not sure if this is directly related, but Justin Trudeau, just weeks after this, started heavily promoting this follow-up bill to the transgendered rights bill that focuses on protecting Islam, and it has basically been described as a blasphemy bill, that it will be, again, illegal, and you could potentially go to jail in Canada for blasphemizing, for speaking ill of Islam. This is after a meeting and a number of gifts from the Aga Khan, which is a kind of prominent spiritual leader in Islam. So this is the most recent event with Justin Trudeau. It kind of ties into the same conflicts of interest. Goes back to the Clinton Foundation. Justin Trudeau has just decided to give $20 million of Canadian taxpayers' money to his friends Hillary and Bill Clinton. He is doing this on the basis saying that it is advocating for women's issues. He's giving this to the Clinton Foundation. Justin Trudeau has really been trying to gain positive attention over feminism. He's a self-described feminist. One of the first moves in his parliament was making an equal cabinet, a gender equal cabinet that has equal number of men and women. Out of all the candidates, it didn't really see it. This seemed to be a total sort of social justice move to gain approval from that crowd and to sort of get identity politics votes. This is really Justin Trudeau's playbook, that he's anything that ties into identity politics that he can virtue signal and gain some sort of points. Whether it really helps Canadians or not, I'm not sure that it helps Canadians to pick cabinet ministers based on their gender rather than their effectiveness to actually lead. But this is what Justin Trudeau has been doing. So this falls right into his policy so far. He is doing this again. It seems like a virtue signaling sort of move that he's using Canadians, the Canadian taxpayers' money to gift this money to the Clinton Foundation, which he says is going to help women's rights across the globe. I'm sure many of my viewers, I shouldn't have to go into too much detail, but there's been a large amount of criticism against the Clinton Foundation. And this isn't just coming from Americans or Republicans or conservatives or Westerners even. There are multiple interviews with Haitians, with people from Haiti that and other countries as well, that the Clintons were supposed to help. And I advise you, if you are not aware of the exploitation and crimes that the Clinton Foundation has been involved in, go do a search for what Haitians really think of Hillary Clinton. If you do a YouTube search on that, if you're completely unaware of this, please do some research. They have rightfully raised some real controversies. These are legitimate controversies around the globe and where the Clinton Foundation has taken action. It's also interesting that since Hillary Clinton lost the election, she's also lost most of her funding. A number of countries have dropped out from donating to the Clinton Foundation. This is another sign for many that the Clinton Foundation was a front for criminal activity, ways to exploit others, as well as a way to just receive money through their friends. If they were really doing such great work, you would assume that most of these countries would continue giving money to the Clinton Foundation. The fact that they were only a worthwhile foundation while Hillary Clinton was set to be president, that points to the idea that this was largely, again, more of a front for donations and a tool for the pay-to-play sort of policies that Hillary Clinton had been exposed for. Justin Trudeau is still close friends with the Clintons, though, and he has decided not to drop his funding. He will continue to give Canadian tax money to the Clintons. This article, just read a little bit from the Sun article, it says Canada can and should play a leadership role in advancing initiatives that foster real change in the lives of women globally. However, we have real concerns with plans announced Tuesday by the Liberal government to hand $20 million over to the Clinton Foundation to, quote, support projects that will provide critical sexual and reproduction health services around the world. The initiative was created under the umbrella of the Clinton Foundation, formed by former U.S. President Bill Clinton and prominently supported by both Hillary and daughter Chelsea. The Clintons have earned millions from their association with the foundation, not from direct compensation, but through book and speaking tour fees. Bill Clinton, for example, reportedly received $26 million in speaking fees from organizations that donated to the foundation. Meanwhile, the lavish foundation-related travel needs of the Clinton of the Clintons, including first-class tickets and charter planes, are covered by its donors. And this is not included in the speaking fees. These are considered this is considered a legitimate use of funds within the Clinton Foundation. It's not actually going to help anyone. It's travel costs for the Clintons. More problematically, the foundation was at the heart of the cash for access scandal that dogged Hillary during her failed bid for the U.S. presidency. While Hillary was Secretary of State, the Clinton Foundation received millions from rich and powerful donors, including foreign governments, many of whom were seeking favorable decisions from the U.S. State Department. Again, many of these countries mysteriously dropped their funding after Clinton lost the election. If it was really just about the good work of the foundation, there would be no reason to drop that. Obviously, there was some other motive for these people to be giving money to the Clinton Foundation. Without doubt, there were inflammatory allegations during the campaign about improper ethical behavior, but there are many legitimate questions about the relationships between the donors, the Clintons, and their foundation. There's no doubt that the foundation has served as a powerful political tool for the Clintons into this sticky wicket wades Justin Trudeau. We take no issue with our government showing leadership on women's issues, was his response. This is what the article says. But we do question the wisdom of using Canadian taxpayer cash to get into bed with the Clintons. Interestingly, this is another story that will, I suspect, go largely unreported in the Canadian media. The Toronto Sun, of course, is a Canadian outlet. From my understanding, they lean a little bit more right, not to make this too much into a left-right issue, but in Canada especially, it is true that the CBC, which is the biggest news organization, it's the equivalent of the BBC in the UK, they are funded by the government, and it is always the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau's party, that whenever they are campaigning, they're promising increased funding and raises to the CBC. So the CBC is critical of Justin Trudeau. The CBC always seems to be backing Justin Trudeau and making excuses for him. And this is because Justin Trudeau, in his campaign, he's basically promising raises to these taxpayer their salaries are paid by taxpayers, these news anchors, and Justin Trudeau is promising them more money for favorable coverage. So I do hope that this gets some more attention. I'm doing my part to report on this. Please, if you could share this video and comment and leave a like, that's greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone for watching. In the comments, just finally, before I sign off, I have the original articles as well as that video. It's if it wasn't such a real issue, it would be, I'd say that it was hilarious. I mean, it's 20 minutes of Justin Trudeau being asked literally the same question, and you could go through and just watch Canadian Parliament. Any clip that contains Justin Trudeau, it's very interesting to just watch him squirm and avoid questions. So check out those that video link as well as the links to the full articles. I also have a link to my Patreon account, www.patreon.com/bait-and-sketch. I'd like to thank everyone that's donated so far. It just gives me some extra time and resources to put back into the channel. I'll continue reporting on this stuff either way, but thank you everyone that's donated on the Patreon page. Even if you could donate $1 or $2 if you watch this channel, greatly appreciated. It all adds up, and again, it would help the channel out. It helps me out. It's largely appreciated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will follow up shortly. Thanks, everyone.